Okay, so our last section in chapter 17, or DNA, RNA, nucleic acids, is talking about viruses. So this is a little bit of an intro video, but obviously it's a little bit important right now in the current pandemic that we're in to talk about viruses. So I wanted to make this kind of a whole day just so that I could spend a little bit of time, extra time, talking about COVID-19. But what are viruses? So viruses are small particles. So they're small cells that contain about 3 to 200 genes that require a host cell to replicate. So that's the important part, is that they require a host cell to replicate. So what this means is that, so this ball contains nucleic acids, so either DNA or RNA. So it has the shell and pretty much all that's inside. It has a little bit of just kind of material inside, like similar to like a cytoplasm, but all it really has inside is DNA or RNA, not both, just one or the other, inside a protein coat. So there's proteins on the outside and DNA or RNA on the inside. That's about it. That means that they don't have the necessary materials such as nucleotides, enzymes, amino acids to make proteins and grow. They don't have ribosomes that actually convert from DNA to RNA or RNA to proteins. They don't have any of that. So what they do and how they replicate is by invading a host cell, and they use that host cell's machinery, use their RNA, use their building materials to grow their own proteins. So they grow more of that protein that's around the virus, grow more of the RNA or DNA, and then they can replicate using a host cell's machinery. So some common diseases caused by viruses. It's kind of funny because this is a chart that was made years ago, right? And the first thing that you see on here is coronavirus. So the coronavirus is actually a series of viruses that have similar attributes. They're not, COVID-19 is not a unique, or it is a unique coronavirus in its genes. However, there is not the only one. There's lots of coronaviruses. So whenever you have a common cold where you're coughing or something like that, that's also typically a coronavirus. There's also rhinoviruses as well. So the reason coronavirus or COVID-19 is particularly deadly is because it has specific attributes that are more harmful. How it is elaborated in our body causes more severe side effects, and more people have died from it. So it's more deadly overall, and that's why it's turned into a pandemic. There's a couple other reasons why too, but the flu is from an orthomyox virus. I think that's how you pronounce it, orthomyox virus. You have warts. Those are also from viruses. If you have warts on your hands or your feet or something like that. Herpes is a virus. HPV is a virus. Then you also have things like leukemia and cancers and AIDS. Those are typically retroviruses. Not all cancers are viruses, but some can be. And then we also have things like hepatitis, A, B, or C, mumps, Epstein-Barr, and the chicken pox is another really common virus that you'll see. Okay, so in our next videos, we'll talk more about what viruses do in their life cycles, and then we'll talk about specific viruses a little bit more in depth.